You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have Aziz Aghayev from Flowlyst. Thank you for being with us today, Aziz.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Ken.
Okay. So, did you create Flowlyst, or you work there, or you like the president? What's the deal?
I started the company about 6 years ago. It was 2020, but it was kind of slow because I was a CFO back then at a public school. And suddenly my wife decided that I should quit my job, and I did listen. So then we moved from Boston to Dallas. And since then, the Flowlist became active. I started doing a lot of consulting, automation consulting mostly. And I also did training, started to do trainings. And most of my trainings was on automation. How do you automate with Excel? How do you automate with a Google platform? But then when AI was introduced, I decided that AI actually can help people automate a lot of things. So I shifted my focus on AI training so that I can enable leaders to automate everything themselves instead of hiring people to do that.
Okay.
And that's the journey.
And I know one of our masterminds, John Odell, has used you in the past and likes you, and that's the reason you're on our show today, is because he recommended you. So tell me what you have done to help John. I think that'll help lawyers understand what you do that can help them. Okay, I think that'll be a good way to go at this.
So there are two ways of the company. One is creating automations for law firm. The other one is enabling the staff to do more with less. And when I say with less, a few platforms. There's ChatGPT, there is Claude, there is Gemini. But those are extremely powerful platforms that if we can enable our staff to just use one of them, not even three, just one of them, they can create efficiencies. I would say maybe 50% less time spent on a task, depending on how you treat the platform. With one small trick, you can do a lot more than your regular. And I can give you an example.
Yeah.
When you're working on a policy, let's say you're working on a policy or a new procedure manual, if you started to chat with ChatGPT saying that I want to create a procedure manual for our intake, let's say, how does the intake work, from the time we receive the call to the time that we close the case? How does that work? And you're trying to create that. If you just plainly go to ChatGPT and said, I would like to start this procedure manual and help me write it, it will spit out either the whole procedure manual or it'll spit out the outline. Then you have to go section by section. Now, if you do this same exact routine, but just enable Canvas tool in ChatGPT, and now suddenly ChatGPT opens up another document, editable document, and gives you an outline. And now you can highlight sections of the document and say, let's work on this section now. And it does not touch anything else except for that section. And then you go into, let's work on this particular bullet point. Can you elaborate on this bullet point? It opens it up with one paragraph. Then you say, I didn't like how you worded it. Can you change that? Then you go section by section. That's an iterative process, but every time it will not spit out the whole text. And you know that it's the same content. You're just going with the same content over and over, because when you leave it to ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, all of these LLM models, every time they spit out text, they may change a few parts. And you have to read the whole thing again. And that's time consuming. Now we're we're expecting more, right? We're expecting more out of it. There's this image of, actually, a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
That's a measure of AI, how AI improved over years. Our expectation was, wow, it can generate video. It doesn't matter how it looks like. And now our
Right.
expectation is needs to be real life.
Yeah. And I guess what if you got like a little bit of like an outline or something of kind of how you do it now, and you could feed it that and say, where are the gaps? How can we make this better? How can we tighten this up? Where do you see the missing? What are we missing here? I mean, you could do that too, right?
Exactly. And we do that for a few of our clients. What they give us a workflow. They give us like a box, arrow, box, arrow, box, arrow. What we do, we listen to them. They tell us what the story is. We take a snapshot or screenshot of that workflow. Then we turn on our microphone and we start explaining the workflow. We upload the screenshot, then we explain the workflow, and it writes the whole procedure for us. We did three different procedure manuals for an organization, and it took us only 15 hours to complete all three. And then we combined all three in an agent, and now you can ask questions to those manuals, and the agent, based on the question, decides which manual to use, and it responds based on that manual. That's how easy it became these days to create those documents.
Yeah, I like that. So these agents, and I think people need to understand there's a difference in like I've heard of people like creating a bot or whatever versus creating an agent versus like there's like different levels, right? That can do more, like they can do just one task or they can sit there and think and converse with other agents. And can you explain that? Because I've interviewed some other people and it just mystifies me of the different levels of this stuff. It's beyond me. But I know when I get somebody that knows what they're talking about, I like to pick their brains. So
So I would like to start from small and say that creating an agent is actually an extremely simple process. GPT, ChatGPT has custom GPTs, or Gemini has Gemini gems. Claude has agents. All of these things are extremely easy to create, and it takes only 5 to 10 minutes if you know that what you're asking that agent. For example, in ChatGPT, you create custom GPT. Let's just give it an example. This custom GPT will become an HR who is responsible answer all of our employees on what kind of benefit packages we have, what kind of payroll cycle we are running, what other benefits they have, what is our sick day policy, what is our, all of the things that HR is responsible from. We
right,
upload all those documents and we give instructions. We say, act as an HR director. Your all responsibility is to answer the questions based on the employee's needs. Do not come out of the context. The documents they uploaded, that's the sole source of truth. Do not go out on the web and search anything. That instruction basically makes the agent, and now agent can act on behalf of you. Now that you created that agent, you can share that agent with your staff and they can interact with it. So it's as simple as that, but agent is it has one job because these LLM models are extremely large. And when you ask a question, they go all over the place. They don't know what perspective you are seeking. And that's why we created this framework. The framework is tada, like you show up, tada. Tada framework. The T stands for title. You always assign a title. What do you want the LLM to act as? The second stands for assigning the task. What kind of task are you expecting to get out of it? Then D stands for defining the constraints. What format do you want the output? In this example, HR director, we can actually say refrain from using jargon, do this, don't do this. All of those constraints would be in that. Tone, do them friendly tone, professional tone, all of those. And then A stands for asking questions. Let AI ask you questions before you proceed. That's the simple framework to prompt. Either you're creating an agent and creating instructions, or you're just interacting with AI. Now, this is simple, but then there is a little bit complex. And how those go, there are a lot of platforms that you can create agents. ChatGPT has its own agent builder, Gemini has its own. NA10 is not bind to any platform. You can use either OpenAI's APIs or different LLMs. Now, I'll give you an example. I meet Ken at Pilma conference. Ken says, "Can you follow up with me? Can you reach out after the conference?" I took a selfie with Ken, and then we use Slack platform within the company. And I have this channel in my Slack that I type there or I speak. I met Ken, here's what we spoke about, our discussion, all of the details. And I upload the selfie. And then I tag my agent, which as soon as I tag the agent, it takes the description that I shared, it takes our selfie, it goes into my Gmail, and it creates a draft for me to send a follow up to Ken with the things that we discussed, with the personal information that we discussed, whatever we spoke about. And it attaches my selfie with Ken and says, by the way, this is our selfie, just so you remember who you're receiving an email from. So it's a
Right.
simple thing, but when you meet those people in the big groups like conferences, when you go out there and network, it is important to remember, but usually it takes us days and if not months to follow up on our conversations
Right.
because we're too busy and it falls into cracks.
Yeah, that's true. I've always thought if I was back practicing law, the first thing I would do is I would want to create an agent or whatever you would call it. It might be something else to help set up a file with the insurance company. What I'm saying is the documents have been put into the file, and that agent would go in there and pull the insurance company's name, call the number, talk to them, set up the claim, tell them, get the law firm's information, the lawyer that's handling it, provide them with the injury so they can set a reserve, and all that stuff could take sometimes sitting on the phone waiting for people to find the claim 20, 30 minutes. And this could do away with a lot of busy work that a paralegal could be used doing other stuff other than sitting there holding the phone. Is that possible now? I mean, I know it will be, but is it now possible?
It is now possible, yes.
What would you use to do that? I mean, what kind of deal?
There are a lot of platforms, voice platforms. 11 Labs is one of them. You use platforms like that to give context of who the person is, who the client is, and then that agent calls the company, insurance company, and with a regular voice, starts speaking with the agent at the insurance company, asking questions, answering questions and settling. Actually, we are working on a project with John to automate that process too.
Well,
And sometimes like it takes 1 hour to wait until the agent picks up with the insurance company. Even if we can solve the wait time, and as soon as the agent picks up, it refers to the live agent. Even that is an amazing accomplishment, let alone we will probably automate the whole process of setting up the claims and answering all the questions. It is currently possible. It's not as easy. It needs a lot of engineering. Even probably I will not be able to do it. I will need to relate to the engineer to do it. But there are a lot of libraries currently. It's possible right now to answer your
and
question. It
see,
was
to me,
possible 6 months ago.
yeah, and that to me, that's important because for PI lawyers right now, with all this institutional money coming in and a lot of regional and national firms coming in, it means you got to cut your overhead so that you can spend more on marketing. And I also think it gives time for your present staff to spend more time building relationships with your clients and getting the right information so that you can build a case value, right? And
Exactly.
I think if they're too busy doing busy work like that, getting medical records, I mean, we know they already do chronologies, and because there's 3 or 4 or 5 companies out there, probably 100, I don't know, that are
Yeah.
doing that for people. But demands and chronologies, that's fine. But I want the upfront work, to setting up the claim and making sure, liens. That would be another thing I want to work on towards the end too.
Yeah.
Starting to get those because that takes up a lot of time. And I think the law firm, and it sounds like John's thinking forward, which I admire that because that's the way I would be thinking. Because you got to cut that, it might cost money up front now, but it's going to save you so much down the road, you know. But the deal is knowing who to get to do it, and is the material going to be safe? That's the big problem lawyers have, is that they want to make sure that the HIPAA laws are complied with and that the confidentiality. And a lot of these platforms, I mean, they're scared that because, like, I think Gemini will sign a HIPAA form, but ChatGPT won't sign anything with you. Even though they say it's private, they won't guarantee it's private, right?
Yeah.
Where it seems like Google with Gemini is saying they will guarantee it. Am I right on that?
Yeah, that's what I heard too. But what I can tell you that soon, probably in a year or so, I would say ChatGPT will also be on board. The reason I know this because I'm in contact with OpenAI on education side, OpenAI for education. They opened the K-12 department or leg, I would say. And one of the concerns is the personal information, PII. And they're trying to become compliant in many states, and New York is one of them, and New York is one of the toughest ones, I would say. So they're trying to get compliant with New York. If they do get compliant with New York, then HIPAA will be very easy probably to just add because kids' privacy is very similar to the HIPAA privacy. I mean, they're both needs to be protected. And I think they are aware of that issue, all of these companies, and they're chasing each other right now to
Right.
see who will be first to provide that.
Yeah.
But soon they will all be on board with that because think about it from 10 years ago when Google offered Google Drive, it wasn't compliant, but then, slowly it became compliant. Same thing with Microsoft's, Cloud, OneDrive, same thing. So they're all getting there slowly because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very new technology.
I was talking to somebody. Actually, I think I was talking to my wife, and I'm going to ask you because you kind of got started in education with this, using this. Now you're transforming it over to lawyers too. But what's the key? I've just thought about this. Education's a big problem. We don't pay our teachers enough in most states, and you got kids that don't want to be there that are causing problems, and they're holding back other kids. And the only way you can get around that is if you got a lot of money. Why can't you have a school where you have teachers that are AI agents that work with each student and they go at their own pace? Like you could have somebody that could finish high school by 14, or you might have somebody that takes 20 years to get through high school if they're a slow learner. But everybody learns at their own pace and everything's equal as far as if you get a diploma, you get a diploma, whatever. Seems like to me, I guess the only thing it would be hurting would be you don't have that, which is a big problem now with all kids. Is they're so lonely because they talk with each other with this. They don't go out and mingle, and I think that's you got sports and things like that. But far as just getting a good education and getting the best education for the best price, so not to me, AI is the deal. I don't know. Are people talking about that, Aziz?
There's actually a school. There's a school, I think they have 2 or 3 campuses in Texas, and they have a few in Northeast. This school, they have, I think, 2 hours of education a day, and then the rest they are learning on projects. It's actually better than school. Like social, you spoke about social concept, right? That how
Right.
kids interact with each other. How I see it in our schools, kids sit in a classroom quietly while teacher teaches. But with these schools, they work on a project. They only do that for 2 hours, quiet time, but then they work on real life projects. They start companies, they fail companies, things like that. And that's an actual world life, experience that they can get. I heard one, I don't know if it was a marketing video, but one of the kids say, in 1 year, I take 10 AP classes and I don't have a teacher and I learn from AI, which, to your point, for those kids who are eager to learn and who can excel in a lot faster than others, they can excel on their own. And just to put it to perspective, 10 AP classes, it's 10 college classes for a high school kid. Usually, 10th grader would take one AP class, 11th grader will take two, maximum three AP class, and 12th grader will take maybe three or four if they are eager to, go with it. So
Yeah.
AP class is extremely hard for a kid, but this kid was taking 10 AP classes. I mean, now looking at that, to your point, it's just expensive and it's about an hour drive from us. I was gonna put my kid there
Right. Yeah.
as I was thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know that it's out there, though. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, it does exist. It's a private school for now, but slowly, I think public schools will slowly transition to use more and more of AI and teacher focus more on emotional side of the kids' growth instead of education, because education will be facts, but AI will not be able to give that social empathy and all of the things that humans as humans we have. There is still a long time until it gets those emotional intelligence, if you would. And that's where we need human in for sure.
Do you see any roadblocks or any hazards ahead on the road to the lawyers using this AI to help, reduce their or become more efficient, I guess, reduce their work staff and get more out of what they got?
The biggest roadblock would be people, staff, which they will get scared that AI will replace them.
Yeah.
And I have this analogy I use from my late father. I mean, he was an engineer and he was a brilliant engineer. When he was in his 50s, AutoCAD, which is an engineering, like drawing software for engineers, architects, that was introduced. That was a very brand new software and everyone was learning it. And he decided not to learn it because he said, I have experience. I don't think that I'll lose my job over a software. Because back then, when it was new, they were hiring an experienced engineer and a young student off the college. One draws, one says. After 5 years, his plant closed and he couldn't find a job after that. My point with that is that it will not replace us soon. I mean, maybe in the next 5, 10 years, yes, maybe. However, it will soon replace us with people who use AI on a daily basis. And if
Yeah.
we look at it from a hiring perspective, who would you hire? The same quality, one delivers it in 2 hours, the other one delivers it in 2 weeks. Who would you hire? Kind of question. And I
Yeah.
think that what staff does not understand sometimes today is that they need to put their hands on this technology and they need to ace this technology so that no one can come and take their job. Otherwise, if we're ignoring or if we're saying, no, this will hurt us, we are just staying behind. It's like internet or it's like Ford. When Ford brought a car, did people say, oh no, I have a horse, I will not drive a car? I mean, after their horses died, they didn't replace their horses. Now they switched to cars. Similar
Yes.
thing, similar thing here.
Yeah. And I was reading a book or an article or something, and this one guy that owns a company, his deal was, I mean, he's looking at all his employees. If they like, he give them 6 months, and if they were not using AI in some capacity, not big, he fired them
Yeah,
because he said they've got to embrace this because it's going to make them better workers. It's going to make them more productive. It's going to make them smarter. It's going to make them quicker. It's going to make them more valuable to me. And if they're not going to embrace it, if they're, and there's a lot of people, nobody likes change, man. Nobody likes change. I don't like change,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
but you've got to adapt in life or don't you die. I mean, Darwinism at its finest, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
have to adapt.
Yeah.
Those who don't usually fall by the wayside. You can look at Blockbuster, you can look at Kmart, you can look at, you have to adapt, you know. Like
Yeah.
Walmart's adapting to Amazon. I mean, they're doing the shipping, they're adapting. Kmart didn't,
Kodak didn't.
yeah,
Blockbusters didn't.
yeah. And see where Netflix is now. And that just shows if you're a business owner, you have got to adapt and you've got to get your people to embrace this new stuff or don't. Not
And I
only,
want to say that this is one of the easiest technologies that were evolved. I mean, because you can learn this technology from it.
yeah,
You can ask, how do I use you? What are you capable of doing?
yeah,
I'm trying to do this. What would be the best way for me
yeah,
to start? I
yeah,
mean, it's just natural language. That's what I'm trying to push people. Instead of typing in that little box, enable the microphone and start speaking. These
mhm,
are LLMs. These are large language models, which means that they understand language the best. So feel
yeah,
free to speak your mind because when we explain, we do not restrict our explanation. We explain like in a broader way instead of typing. When we type, we edit. We make sure that there is a structural sentence. We cannot make mistakes. But when we speak, it's okay to make mistakes. Go
right,
back and fix your mistake. When you get comfortable speaking to AI, then you get better and better, and then it becomes natural. Nowadays, I barely type. I have a software that sits on my computer. Anywhere that I want to type, I have a shortcut on my keyboard. I just click that, I speak what I wanted to say, and it automatically transcribes it.
yeah.
We're getting into that age that we don't need to type. Who does handwriting? Or do we grade handwriting in our schools now? We don't. We used to.
Yeah,
30, 50 years ago, if you had a bad handwriting, you would fail the class.
yeah,
But no one cares today. So we switched to typing. Maybe in 5, 10 years, typing will not be important because you won't need to type.
which is good for somebody like me because I never learned how to type. No, really, I never learned how to type. And so this has been a blessing for me. I'm using AI every day and I just hit the thing and start talking, and it's like if I don't, I just talk to it like an assistant, like help me this or act like I want you to be the best negotiator in the world. I want you to be, what's the guy's name, boss or something, and help me negotiate this contract. I want you to, beautiful, marketing piece, and I wanted you to be like David Ogilvy or Dan Kennedy or Jay Abraham. I want you to give me what their advice would be, you know.
Exactly.
You know
And
what I'm
people
saying?
actually use that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I use it all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm an old guy. I don't know how to type. I mean, I'm 70 years old, but I think
Wow.
it's the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, but when it first came out, I was scared of it. I was.
Yeah. So that's what I do, right? Like when I do go to trainings, I start from you don't know anything about AI. And I had this lady in one of my trainings. I got in, she said, I never do, I never use AI, AI is bad and all that. I did a 3 hour training. At the end of 3 hours, she came to me and she said, look, I took a selfie and showed it to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told me how to highlight my hair. I said, really? That was a good transformation from me. Like you had zero
Yeah.
interaction and now you're using it for your personal things because when you use it for your personal tasks, you actually get better and better. It means
Yeah.
that you're using it in a more advanced level now. That's what it takes. I mean, sometimes people need some hand holding. People need some help to bring them to this technology. There's the saying, you can bring horses to the water, but you cannot make them drink it.
Correct.
Our job would be bring them to the water, see, show them what is possible, what they can do with the technology. Because people think that, oh, it's just a new Google search. It is not.
Yeah.
There is this tool, Notebook LM. I don't know if you're aware of that tool. It is crazy. It's Notebook LM. It is a tool for by Google, actually. Google designed it for students. What it is, let's say you have an article you want to read. You upload that article to Notebook LM, and it creates a podcast for you. And now you don't have to read the article. You just listen to the podcast that talks about the article. It's incredible how you can transform a piece of document to a podcast.
Yeah.
Now, I say this to law firms. Here's an idea, just throwing it out there. Whoever uses it, uses it. We have our law firms, and they're serving different communities. And those communities are not always English-speaking communities. We send newsletters home, right? Like to people's emails. I would say 90% of people don't read them. What if we put those newsletters in Notebook LM with one click of a button? You create a podcast and you have a Spotify channel. You add that podcast to your Spotify channel. You add that podcast to Apple Podcast and tell your clients, subscribe to our podcast. We share all of our news from here, all of our newsletters, all of the changes. But I'll give you better. For those people who actually serve different language speaking communities, the same click can create up to 100 languages. And now you write only one newsletter, but you share that podcast in Spanish, in Russian, in Arabic, whatever community you serve. With one click of a button, you can create that podcast. But what you can also do, you can create a video cast.
Yeah.
With the same platform, Notebook LM, there's a button that you create video explanation of your newsletter, what is going on, with slideshows, with perfect explanations, with great visuals. So now create a YouTube channel, and that YouTube channel can have multilingual episodes of what you're trying to relay the message to people. Now, this technology is available right now. They can use it right now, and it's free most of the time. If you want to share it in social media, maybe you need to pay a subscription. But come on, it's like you spend $15 and now suddenly you can relay all of your messages with a podcast. And people remember better in a podcast, because with a podcast, people, argue in a podcast. It's like conversational. You remember pieces.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, AI has helped us a lot with our marketing. We use it a lot to take text and turn it into videos. We take our podcasts, it flips through, AI flips through and takes out the best clips, cuts them up, tells us, you know what I'm saying? And it all do it in like minutes,
Yeah.
I mean, it's you could call it the great equalizer for smaller firms up against the bigger firms.
Yeah, exactly. And if
Well,
you
great.
ask people, currently they don't use anything, right? If the attorney is too busy to create videos, at least you have something going on in your
Yeah.
channel. At
Yeah.
least you have an activity there.
And you can create your own avatar. I mean,
Oh,
now,
yeah, you can create your own avatar.
yeah. I mean, your wife might know the difference, but general public won't know the difference now. It's got that good.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's been great. So if somebody wants to get up with you or inquire about your services, Aziz, how's the best way?
Best way will be either our website or LinkedIn. Our company is spelled a little differently. It's Flowlyst, but it's spelled with Y. So it's Flowlyst. It's like flow catalyst, if you would.
Right.
It's Flowlyst. And my email is aziz@flowlyst.io if they wanted to reach out. And I'm active on LinkedIn. I try to share tips and tricks on LinkedIn.
Great.
Feel free to follow.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.